Okay. Jamin Martin here. Just appreciate the invite. And hey, sounds like Huntsville's got it going on. A lot of things going on. I appreciate all of you guys and gals, young ones, old ones, middle aged. Appreciate what you're doing. Appreciate the service you're going to do tomorrow too. That's really important. Uh, we have Bryant Rascal, who happens to be the state youth coordinator for amateur radio, and he's light years ahead of me when it comes to several things. He's just an amazing young man with a bright career ahead of him, both professionally and in amateur radio. So, without further ado, I want to introduce Bryant. He's going to do a presentation today, and I'm just fascinated every time I hear him talk. He's just amazing. So appreciate Anita and Billy and others who organized this. And you didn't hang around to hear me. You hung around to hear the man. So I'm gonna turn it over to Bryant. Bryant, just introduce yourself, give your call sign, and jump in, brother.
Okay, so hello everybody. My name is Bryant Rascal, KG5HVO. I live in Montgomery, Alabama, a little bit south from y'all, and mainly involved in the contest world. I've been licensed since 2015. I've been contesting for about 3.5 years now. It's my passion. It's what gets me going in the hobby. I was originally licensed in New Orleans, Louisiana. So that's where the 5 call comes from. I get a lot of questions about that. So,
and out there you go.
Okay, very good. Well, good evening, everybody. I gave this presentation at the Ham Radio 2.0 Forum in Dayton, Ohio last year, and we're going to go over some activities and attitudes that really fire up youth contesters. So get started here. I'm going to start by talking about a really awesome example of coaching and mentoring and youth-led organizations, and that is Team Exuberance. If you haven't heard of Team Exuberance before, I'll give you some backstory. So in 2018, Violetta Latham, KM4ATT, who is shown on the bottom row, was on the Youth DX adventure to the island of Curacao, and she and other youth operators were running pileups down there from the PJ2T station, and one night they had the idea of, wouldn't it be just really awesome to have an all-youth contesting team here in North America? Youth contesting teams have been really popular in Europe, but traditionally there have never been any in North America before. So the idea stuck with her on the plane ride back to her home in Pennsylvania, and she called up her good friend, Tim Duffy, K3LR, and asked if it would be okay if she and her friends used Mr. Duffy's station for the CQWPX SSB contest. If you're unaware about the K3LR station, it is probably one of the biggest. It is one of the biggest stations in the world. In fact, I think it has the largest 40-meter array in the world. It has over 11 operating positions inside the shack, and just really impressive arrays outside. I think he's got maybe like 5 towers all above 150 feet. It's really impressive. And so once Tim Duffy said yes to Violetta's request to use his station during a contest with her friends, she and Marty Soloway, NN1C, who is seen sitting to her left in this photo, they got busy organizing the operation, coordinating who would be the operators, and we had a very high criteria. We wanted to make sure we had the best youth operators possible, because we really wanted to make a statement that youth in contesting can really make high scores. And so we assembled a great team with operators from British Columbia, California, Hungary, Alabama, Pennsylvania, and Massachusetts. And we operated in the multi-2 category, which means we had 2 radios going throughout the entire contest, 1 radio CQing. In fact, I'm sorry, we had 4 radios, but on 2 different bands. We had 1 radio CQing, and the other radio was tuning around looking for multipliers and searching for extra contacts on search and pounce mode. The team leaders, who were Marty and Violetta, did a really impressive job assembling the team, coordinating all the flights, the transportation, the hotels, as well as the pre-contest strategy of how we were going to effectively operate and ultimately try to claim number one in this event. Our average age is 16. I think our oldest operator was maybe 21 and our youngest was 14. And our challenges were fundraising, figuring out who was going to be on this team, as well as the travel and logistics side, and steady communications. That was really key because as anybody who has organized a large-scale event, communications can make or break your operation. So throughout the contest, we really had a just amazing time. Ended up making over 6,000 QSOs, claimed number one in North America for the multi-2 category. But most importantly, we set a statement that youth can be competitive in the contesting world. Our takeaways were to be coachable. Tim Duffy, K3LR, and his friend Tim, W3YQ, were always available for coaching and advice in the shack. None of us had operated at K3LR before, so we had lots of questions about the propagation, the antenna systems, how to use the equipment effectively. I added the point about the YL being a secret weapon because it's really impressive what a YL can do. It attracts such a big pileup compared to one of us. It was a really funny difference to see. Tim Duffy always pushed us to continue moving at a very quick and motivated pace, even during the doldrums where you're only working, 2 people for every 5 minutes. And he was always down there pushing us, making sure that we were working really hard. And I don't blame him because he had given us access to his prize and all of his hard work that he's done for his station. And again, it was a great experience, and it was only made possible through incredible leadership from Marty in N1C and Violetta KN2P, as well as incredible mentorship by Tim K3LR and Tim W3YQ, and just overwhelming support from the amateur community in general. So these are some traits that my youth contesting friends tend to have. We are really motivated to be the best in everything that we do, and we enjoy uncomfortable and hard tasks. A great example of this is the picture on the very left. This is a single operator 2 radio interface box that was designed by my friend Marty, NN1C from Massachusetts. He designed that box, and it has incredible capabilities for handling 2 radios to 1 computer. It handles CW keying, voice keying, and again, it has a lot of really interesting capabilities, and it's now for sale on the Yankee Clipper Contest Club website. Most of my youth contest friends are involved in many other activities outside of contesting and in the radio sport world. My friend Levi here on the very right, he is a competitive cycler and has been very successful in Southern California. And my friend David, here pictured in the middle, is shown hanging off of his tower, which he designed the entire system. And he was actually able to take school credit for that in his math class, considering all the modeling he had to do for the different guy wires and modeling how he would erect the antennas and construct them. So that was a really cool facet to hear about. We all tend to embrace coaching and Elmering because we know that we are not the best. And so any advice that you're given is appreciated. And one thing is we're really committed, and commitment is so important, especially in an operation like Team Exuberance, where commitment is just one of the number one things. And commitment in contesting is super important because if you don't have commitment to stay in the chair for as long as you possibly can, then your score will obviously not be quality. And most importantly, we are just super competitive. Again, like the first point, always pushing ourselves to be the best and to make as high as scores as we can, and to always improve our stations, whether it's through better antennas, better accessories, radios, whatever it is, better skills, most importantly, because skill trumps equipment. So there are several reasons why my friends and myself really enjoy contesting. And that's because there's always something that you can learn and improve from. No contest is ever the same. I've done a lot of contesting this year, and about every single contest, I learned something new about myself and about my station. Normally, I always try to pick something. If something doesn't stick out to me about what I can improve on, I try to make note of something that I definitely can, even if it's really minute, like checking for extra band openings earlier in the day on 40 meters, just small stuff like that that can eventually boost your score ahead of your opponents. I really enjoy contesting because of the pre-contest strategy. I'm really into data analysis. And so looking at logs from past years can really help improve your score. And one thing that we all enjoy about contesting is that we're not limited by experience or age or gender. It's really just an open community, and you can compete against anybody, because as soon as you turn on the radio, you are competing against some of the best operators in the world. It's an open arena. We all enjoy the camaraderie. The picture on the very right includes my friend Tommy, HA8RT, who's in the white t-shirt closest to the camera. And I believe that's with his other friends in Europe. And they're at the, I want to say the LX7I contest station in Luxembourg. And they were putting up some really high scores there. One thing that gets us all really excited is the live scoreboard. And this can be taken from the gaming world, where scores are broadcast live and they can be compared to opponents. I'm sorry?
What did you say?
Again, the live scoreboard can really change contesting for the better because it motivates you to stay in the chair if you know that somebody else is really close to your score and is right behind you. It's kind of like horse racing. And again, we're all just really competitive, and we hate losing but love winning, and we are always striving to be better. I thought I would throw this slide in about the Youth on the Air Region 2 program because it's rather young and it's going to be a really quality program for youth operators. Originally, there were plans to have a summer camp for all youth radio operators in North America in the Cincinnati area this summer in 2020. But of course, due to COVID, it fell apart. But we're planning to do the camp in 2021. So if you know of any young radio operators that you think would be interested in this opportunity, I would highly recommend you let them know about the Youth on the Air Region 2 program. And that's headed up by Neil Rapp, WB9VPG, who also hosts the Ham Talk Live podcast. One thing that we also do besides the camp is December YOTA month, or Youth on the Air month, and that's really a special event station. It's similar to the 13 Colony special event, where as many operators try to contact different special event call signs. This year we're going to use, or at least we're going to try to use K8Y, K8O, and K8T, and K8A as our call signs because the suffixes all line up to be YOTA. YOTA month has been really popular in Europe for the past few years. And last year, we were able to make over 100,000 QSOs in the month of December, along with the other special event operators around the world. So it was a really special experience. And YOTA Region 2 is on the following social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. So I would highly recommend that you like or follow their pages so you can stay informed on the latest news with Youth on the Air Region 2. So here are some things to consider. I would learn about youth contesting endeavors just to stay on top of the game on what is new. A good place to look for this is the ARRL contest update and the ARRL newsletter. Invite youth to contest with you. I don't know if the Huntsville Amateur Radio Club, if y'all have a club station at all, or even an individual station. Invite youth to contest with you, because a lot of youth who are getting into the hobby don't really have that big of a station to learn about contesting. It's really hard to do so, especially if you don't have the equipment capabilities. But one thing I would stress, if you do invite youth to come contest with you, I would really make an effort to get to know the parents well, because parent communication is really important in any event that you're interacting with youth. One idea I have is to use Field Day as a springboard event into getting youth involved in contesting, because right after Field Day is the IARU HF Championships in July. And so you can work hand in hand with those two events to, rope youth into, just show them what contesting is through Field Day. And then if they're interested, you can tell them about a future opportunity, such as the IARU HF contest in July. There are some other ideas I had as well, such as the Inter-Club Challenge. So the YCCC and the FRC are two really big contest clubs in the northern part of the country. Both have a really high membership. And so one idea I had is that it would be cool to see them challenge each other on how many youth operators that they could get to compete with them. I think that'd be a unique way to encourage youth to get on the air. It'd be really awesome to see growth of the Young Amateurs Radio Club Youth Contesting Program. And you can do some Google research if you're interested. It's basically kind of like a LinkedIn, but for youth contesters and station owners who are interested in hosting youth and youth on the air, and youngsters on the air in Europe, which is the dedicated youth program over there in Region 1. They have a program called Youth Contesting Program, where station owners will open up their stations to youth operators, where they will then travel to the station and be hosted and learn about the local culture and obviously operate the contest. If you're really looking to make a dent in the age gap in amateur radio, I would really consider look into some marketing and exposure ideas. The Nashua Amateur Radio Society out of New Hampshire, they were the 2019 Club of the Year. They've done a really fantastic job with marketing and have been able to get youth to join their club at really high frequencies. And one thing I would also recommend is, once you have youth involved, don't be afraid to show them as many aspects of the hobby as possible, but don't be surprised if they have a favorite, as that was obviously my case. My club in Louisiana, the Jefferson Amateur Radio Club, they exposed me to a lot of different aspects, which I'm very grateful for. But once they showed me HF, I was hooked. Be sure to include a youth voice in all levels. They could have ideas that your club doesn't see right now. I've been very blessed to have a lot of different opportunities to speak in different forums about youth and contesting. And it'd be really interesting to see what it would be to have a youth voice on a contest advisory board, such as the one that ARRL hosts, as well as writing opportunities for different amateur radio publications. And so with that, I'm going to conclude, but here are some resources if you're interested in some really awesome youth and radio sport programs. And I'll open it up to anybody who has questions for a few minutes. So with that, thank you for your time.
Hey, Bryant, did your team do anything special to prepare for the contest? Physically prepare, mentally?
One thing we did do is we had a pre-contest meeting over Skype, and it was just to get our minds in the right place. Physically, not really. Most of us were already active contesters, so we knew what it felt like to sit in the chair for a long time, what it felt like to be sleep deprived. The only really thing that we trained for ahead of times were aspects that were only unique to Pennsylvania. So it'd be like we got to know the propagation real well, we got to know the station real well, and we had an operator handbook. That was so helpful, is that we had a handbook that had a lot of different tips about how to use the station, the propagation, and strategies we were going to use throughout the contest. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, wow. Did Tim put that handbook together?
Marty and N1C actually put it together, but I'm sure that Tim got to throw in some content as well, considering it was his station.
I have a question. I realized I could look it up on QRZ, but about how long when did you become a ham, and how early did you begin contesting?
So I got licensed in 2015, and I didn't get my general until August 2015, and I began seriously contesting in early 2017 when I got to join my first multi-op team in Louisiana, and I was able to find some really good mentors there that set me on the right path.
Thank you. That was very interesting. Thanks. I liked your presentation.
Oh, thank you very much.
Right, it's good to see you, Mark, N4BCG here. You asked about the Huntsville Club. I don't know if you probably got a lot of invitations, but I recall inviting you up to operate at K4BFT for field day a couple of years ago, and you already had a commitment. We do field day with this club pretty serious. We've been #1 in 4A 9 times in the last 11 years. Of course, we did field day a lot differently this year. But my question to you tonight is, what did you do for field day this year with the social distancing and all?
Let's see. So I actually didn't get to operate field day. I was playing in a baseball tournament in the Atlanta area. So I can't really answer that question, although I probably would have operated from home and submitted my score under my local club. Although it's really cool to hear about how your club has been very successful in field day. I've been watching the box scores, and it's a pretty serious effort that you guys make, and something to definitely be proud of.
Well, we've got our fingers crossed this year. We didn't have the incredible scores on phone, but our CW station set an all-time, our 2 CW stations set an all-time record with 1,600 Qs on the weekend.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Bryant, this is Chris, AI4U. We're in Harvest, and I just want to say you've done a lot for amateur radio. Just cheers to you for what you've done to expose amateur radio to more youth and keep shouting in the megaphone. You got more people listening than what you realize, and I know you've been active in the ACG, and I wonder if you have a minute to talk just a little bit about your World Radio Championship experience.
Oh, yes, sir. It's good to hear you as well. So I was very fortunate to have the opportunity to compete at the World Radio Sport Team Championship that was held in 2018 in Wittenberg, Germany. WRTC, as it's called, is basically the Olympics of ham radio. I was able to compete in the WRTC 2018 as a youth, under a youth team. My team leader was Matias Acevedo from Chile, CE2LR, and he was nice enough to select me as his teammate. And we went to Germany to what makes WRTC so special is that all of the stations are set up the same way, so that way the only variables left are operator skill. They're all within a very close geographic area, so the propagation is all the same, the antennas are all the same, and most of the radios are pretty similar. But the one big variable in WRTC is operator skill, and it was really a really special experience to be able to compete in a competition where the best operators in the world were competing in the same geographic location. You know, I got to meet him in the hotel. Matthias and I finished in 56th place out of the 64 teams that were competing. So we obviously wish that we had done a little bit better, but the real key was that we learned a lot. Operating in Europe is a whole different world than operating a contest in North America. So we learned a lot, and are looking forward to trying to compete in the next WRTC, which will be held in 2022 in Bologna, Italy. So I hope that answers your question, Chris.
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Brian, this is Jim in 4KH again. One more quick question. Obviously, Tim's station was super high performance, right? Was there anything, because of the high performance, was there anything that was really unexpectedly challenging about using that station? Like pile-ups, just unbelievable, or
Well, I wish I could say. I'll put it this way: Tim Station is so well designed that it basically is super easy to operate, but it has that super high capability. It's very ergonomical because he has operators that come in from all over the world to compete for 48 hours in that station. So if he were to make it super technical and complex, then it would for a rough contest because the operators would still be figuring out how to use the equipment. And so he's done a really good job at making it really user-friendly. So learning how to operate the equipment wasn't much of a challenge. The only station that we really had to take notes on was the 160 meter position because you have a lot of switches for the transmit Yagi. It's a vertical Yagi. And he has a lot of different switches for the receive antennas. I don't even know how many receive antennas he has. I forget right now. But it's really impressive. I think he has like two eight circle arrays, a four square.
He's got the mox at the top.
Yes, the beams, maybe even a Waller flag. Anyway, he's got a lot of different receive antennas crammed into one position, and so you have to really take note about which switch controls which antenna. So that was the only position that really you had to take notes on. But other than that, we didn't really have any technical difficulties throughout the entire contest.
Wow, that had to be
Bryant,
incredible.
Which position did you operate the most? I signed W1AW stroke 3 from the 40 meter run station up there. What station did you operate the most?
I think I spent most of my time in the 80 meter chair because I was on the graveyard shift for most of the contest, operating from maybe 5 p.m. to about 4 a.m. And yeah, it's really a cool position. The 40 meter chair, as you mentioned, has a lot of great tools to go with it. I sat in the 40 meter position for a few minutes, but yeah, it's really impressive station. QRZ anymore? All right. Are there any more questions? Or?
Were you all phone?
During the Team Exuberance event?
Phone is your specialty?
Oh, my specialty, personally, it's CW. I really enjoy CW contesting as it's much less exhausting than phone.
Hey, Bryant, this is Jay Van. Aren't you above 40 or right at 40 CW?
Let's see. I think the last time I did the CW ops test, I maxed out at 63. That's call signs, not text. Rag chewing, I can probably do maybe 35, 37, but when it's just call signs and numbers, 60, I think is my max.
Amazing.
We've got to get you up here for field day.
That sounds like a great idea.
He was in the top 5 at the when the Huntsville Hamfest last year. He was in the top 5 in copying skill on CW.
I saw that over on the whiteboard. They were writing down the calls. Yeah. Was anybody else on your team a CW op or?
Yes, I think 5 out of the 6 operators were CW operators.
Wow.
So, yeah, really talented team.
That is super.
Bryant, I want to thank you for doing the presentation. That very good presentation, and thanks for doing it for us. And I really appreciate you taking your time out to join us tonight. And if y'all have any more questions for Bryant, don't feel feel free to ask him. I'm sure he would be willing to answer. And we, like I said, we'd love to have you up here for field day, and hopefully we can see you. Maybe you can make it to Hamfest next year. God willing that we have it. I'm pretty sure we will, but we missed it this year, and I'm sure you would have liked to attend it this year, but didn't work out. But hopefully we'll see you next year for field day and or Hamfest.
Yes, definitely. And now that I have my driver's license and a little bit more freedom, I might be able to make trips like that more possible. So thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. You guys are a great club.
Thank you.
Thanks for the presentation, Bryant. Good job.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I didn't.
Awesome job. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. It was very interesting.
Very good.
You did a great job.
I didn't get a chance to check before the meeting. I know you'd sent the presentation out ahead of time. I don't know if it got posted on the website, but if it hasn't, I'll make sure it does. If anybody missed it, that way they can at least check that out. And I did record the presentation tonight, and I'll try to put that together and make it available also.
Hey, I'd just like to add, I'm glad you recorded that. I thought Anita told me you guys were going to record the video. You know, we have, some of us that's been around a while, I'll just leave it at that. I won't say old. Some of us have been around a while. We have all struggled at some point in our amateur career. You know, how do we get more youth involved? And I think Bryant has hit on some very key things, and that is we go to them with what they want. What do they want? They want a competitive environment. They want to do things difficult. They want challenges. And I believe taking this video and really pushing this out, putting it on social media, putting it out on our clubs. I wish I could put it out on ARRL section news, but I can't. You can just put out text. But I just think this is, we can talk about it a lot, but actually hearing Bryant and hear these other youth do things is just phenomenal. And to me, it's just a significant way to reach and bridge that delta that we have grown to see so much.
Well, it's also, you can hear it in his voice that, Bryant, you're as enthusiastic as your words on the screen say you are. You are just, I can tell, committed. That's so cool.
Oh, thank you. That's kind of you.
Anita, thank you for getting this put together and getting this set up. Really appreciate it.
Well, Martin kind of did all the work. I just, or Jay Van Martin, you did all the work, and I just kind of started the ball rolling, but thank you.